Hello, and thank you for joining me for the fourth video in the Systematic Review series. In the prior video, I talked about how to create a proper systematic review search strategy. In this video, I want to talk about the fourth question here, which is what you should do when that search strategy doesn't work out as planned. Previously, I walked you through the following process, starting with a research question, converting that to a PICO or PO framework, then developing a search strategy. I ended up with this search, and it seemed like a very linear process from research question to successful search strategy. However, it very often doesn't work out that way, and the process is not so neat or linear. In the following slides, I'm going to go through a few common issues that arise, and I'll discuss how to try and address those issues. The first of these is a search like this. What are some effective educational programs for preventing head injuries caused by bicycle accidents among Canadian children? The search I've created here below the question covers all of the key PICO elements of the question, but when I run this search in PubMed, I get very few good articles. The problem here is there's too much going on. The search is too specific in terms of the PICO elements. When you don't get enough articles, there are a couple of ways of addressing the issue. One is to add more terms with the Boolean OR. Alternatively, you can subtract terms that were added with the Boolean AND. For this search, that might look like this. You'll see I expanded the geographic limitation on my prior version to now include American as well as Canadian children. Though be sure to note that this, of course, changes my research question so that now it is what are effective programs for preventing head injuries caused by bicycle accidents among Canadian or American children. On this slide, you'll see another way I can address the issue, by removing a concept. In this case, I remove the concept of head or brain. So now my question is, what are some effective programs for preventing injuries caused by bicycle accidents among Canadian children? I'm now considering all injuries, not just head injuries. So when you run a search and get too few articles, my suggestion is to remove a concept entirely, or else expand the parameters of one of your other concepts. You may need to go through this process many times, mixing and matching concepts to find the right balance. My next example is this. What are some strategies for preventing injuries among the elderly? When I run this search in PubMed, I get far too many articles. The thought process to address this is just the opposite of what I described in the prior example of getting too few articles. For example, I could specify a type of injury, for instance, accidental falls. Again, you can see how this changes my research question. Now it is, what are some strategies for preventing fall-related injuries among the elderly? Likewise, I could narrow my results by focusing my question in different ways. Say, for instance, elderly in specific settings, like those in assisted living care. Or I could focus on a particular type of learning strategy, like online or web-based strategies. Narrowing in these ways will require me to add more lines of terms to my search, and combining those new lines to my existing lines with the Boolean AND, as you can see on this screen. Doing that will narrow my results. To summarize, if you get too few results, you should remove some of the concepts that you had combined with AND, i.e. remove one or more of the original search concepts to broaden your results. Alternatively, add more terms with OR to expand one or more of your existing concepts. On the other hand, if you get too many results, you can address this by adding additional concepts with AND to focus your PICO elements even more. Please note that doing any of the above will necessarily change your research question. The overall solution is to reframe your research question to address the issue you are facing. And this is one of the trickiest elements of doing a literature search for a systematic review. Finding a topic that you're interested in, but that will also yield enough articles to do the analysis, but not so many that you are overwhelmed with articles. If you try these steps and continue to have problems, please feel free to reach out to the Himmelfarb Library to set up an appointment with a research librarian. So long for now. Next time we'll talk about the systematic review software, Covidence.